friends. Today is a sort of get ready with me, perhaps a little more informative, presenting some PR I received. Originally, I wanted to dive back in to Izamea's Industrial 2.0 palette, but What's Up Beauty sent me their Dragon Eye palette as well as their new mascara. Watch me. So I thought we could dive into that, and perhaps I can still talk about Industrial 2.0. Of course, I'll be using Sonia G's newly released Fundamental Eye set. Also wanted to use the BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose collab Pro Brush set on camera. I do have a reel on Instagram at the moment, but we'll put it up on my YouTube shorts if you wanted to see it there. I also have my Wayne Goss brushes, not all of them, but some on standby just to make some comparisons as I go through the demo and whatnot. I have not yet purchased his new set. I did request Beautylish for it to be sent. And you're like, Alicia, how come you just won't buy it yourself? Because I'm on a budget, family. You know what's taking my budget? My food. So if I could save a little more by receiving it through PR, I'll be forever grateful. If I have to purchase it, I'll purchase it. I am not, however, in a particular rush to receive it, to own it, because I already have Sonia's eye set. I have her fundamental face set. I'm good. As well as a lot of the Fude Beauty brushes that they sent me. I don't feel the need to buy Wayne's right away, as excited as I was to see his release. That's nothing to do with me not wanting the brushes. I'm just not as impulsive as I used to be, and waiting it out when the budget has increased again, then I'll make the purchase if I don't receive it in PR. But I would eventually like to grab it because I have so many of his brushes already. It's only fitting to keep the collection going. You know what I mean? So let's begin with a skin sobering update. I started my skin sobering journey, and if you're wondering what in the heck is that, that is refraining from using skincare. I originally started back in July 12th of this year, and it is now going on 4 months. I originally planned to quit for 30 days. Here I am 4 months in, and we're gonna keep on rolling. Some observations, especially now entering the winter season: skin is significantly drier, definitely flakier here between the brows and nose. I think that's due to my constant squeezing of the blackheads. If I would not squeeze so much, I don't think my skin would be as flaky. And also just allowing the skin to exfoliate itself without interfering with that process. Of course, anytime you do this, I think you naturally slow off the dead skin that naturally is produced by that process. Some other things I noticed, I have these like filaments. It's hard to see on camera. You will have to be right up against my face to see it. But these little like white hairs that if you squeeze them, they kind of look like blackheads, but they're not as thick. So much information. They're like a little thinner, but what I have noticed, me not using skincare, applying makeup and whatnot, although you can still see some of my post-inflammatory pigmentation here on my skin, I found when using foundation that I consider to be medium coverage or whatnot, I used to use when using skincare, tretinoin and all that stuff, that I look more flawless now with the foundation. I feel the blemishes now are not as potent, and it's recognizable when I apply my foundation, and it virtually looks flawless, where before I can still see the blemishes pop through my foundation application using the same foundation I used then and I'm using now. And sure, my skin might not appear as glowy and shiny with skincare on, but I learned that that's not how skin is supposed to be naturally. It is supposed to have more of a drier touch to it, and I don't mind, right? I do apply moisturizer before foundation. I just take it off and don't reapply it before bed. A little bit of Vaseline on the dry patchy spots, maybe a little bit under the eyes, but I've been pretty good and have just again appreciated the simplicity that not using skincare has presented. It just something one less to think about, less money to spend on, more room and luggage, you know. With that said, I have been preparing my skin with the Peach and Lily, the matcha pudding antioxidant cream that was sent to me. They're so nice in PR, and I do use this before my foundation. I think it crucial, whether or not you wear skincare, to apply something before your foundation. So if you want to tackle the drier parts, I still have a little bit of my Allies of Skin peptide moisturizer, so I should probably finish that. And again, if I were to be photographed or whatnot, I would totally apply moisturizer or just do the whole glam face so my skin looks good on camera and in photo. But every day now, don't really care. Since we're getting into this foundation, it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. Going in with Haus Lab Skintech. This is in shade 330. And I'll use, excuse me, honking truck, the Nikki LaRose N15. It is a dual-sided brush. One side is the exposed synthetic fibers. The other side looks to be dyed. These brushes are made in China. Nothing particularly wrong with that, but because I am partial to brushes made in Japan, given the majority of my collection is Fude, I think the main difference is that in China, it's all about efficiency. And what you'll find is a lot of machine-made brushes, and with the synthetic fibers, they're cut with a machine to produce the shape of the brush. Whereas in Japan, even with synthetic fibers, those fibers are still hand bundled in a way that probably produces a more refined shape. I'm not entirely sure either if Japanese made synthetic filaments are imported, and in China they'll use that technology even though with the machine to produce the brush. But you see here, it's pretty good coverage. Despite that, you could still probably identify some blemishes. I don't think it's as pronounced, and we're getting there, right? I probably will see far better results after a year of no skincare versus just 4 months, because if you think about me having to undo years and years and years of me using skincare, it's only natural that the reverse will take just as long. Maybe shorter, but still long. With the N15, however, I do like applying my foundation in this way. It is pretty soft. I wouldn't pat in this way because then you'll detect a little bit of prickliness from the brush's head. Because this is on the thinner side, you can see how it bends here. I think more appropriate to use with a liquidy type of foundation like with the Haus Labs. And if you see Nikki's demo on Instagram, she used Dior's Backstage foundation, which although I don't have, I remember when sampling it, quite liquidy. And I think a brush like the N15, better to move around something that's a little more liquidy versus tighter. I'm thinking Hourglass's Ambient Soft Glow, Suku's The Foundation in the Jar. Those I would feel more comfortable using my Koyuro Deca. I gotta move it around, you know what I'm saying? The N14 I do enjoy not only to pinpoint portions of my face that need a little more coverage. I think it great also to blend out any concealer, as well as the N16. This is a small stippling brush that you could probably use for eyeshadow, but perhaps a little big for the lid. I use it for concealer because that's what I mostly saw Nikki do. I think you have full reign in deciding what's the best product or what have you face part to use the N14 on. N16. Excuse me. I will use N14 though for the concealing. I have to say, I know the Angie Hot and Flashy, the concealer brush is a favorite amongst many. Do I have, hold on, I do have the little kit. BK Beauty was also kind enough to send me the Angie Hot and Flashy travel kit where they have the favorites as well as the Angie originals here in the shorter travel handles. This is the A506, one of their best selling. I have to say, this feels a little more prickly than the N14 for me, because when I tap in this way, I could feel a little more prickliness versus the brush here, because I feel there's a little more bend to it, or maybe because the bristles are longer, shorter here for that shape, and they don't feel as stabby. Whereas perhaps it better to swipe, you know what I mean, versus pounce. When I pounce with the A506, It doesn't feel as soft as the N14. I do recognize, however, the popularity of the A506 since it likens to the original 101 contour brush that's now A101 for Angie. For the powder, I also use the N14 just because I think the shape is suitable for both blending out my concealer as well as powder application. Also, for more precise work here, if you wanted to bring in a little bit of contour through the cheekbones in a more subdued fashion, just for funsies, I could hop into the Makeup Forever palette, pick up a mixture of this warmer shade and the deeper bark shade with the same N14 brush and nudge it here into the hollows to create a subtle presentation of bronzer, if you will. And although the brush is small, it has pretty nice splay where upon contact can spread the product quite well so it doesn't appear tight to that area. And the bristle length long enough where you can take it for a ride in this swirl and twirl fashion and not disrupt the foundation application. It's not going to move around the makeup too much. So you see that there's now some bronzing here, a little bit of shadowing. I could take now the N16 and because of its smaller size and stippled bristles, a lot wispier, and I think that's great. I haven't done bronzing on the nose in ages. Look at me. Let's bring it here through the inner eye arc. That's not bad. Doesn't look too bad. You could take your foundation brush or whatever you used foundation application with to kind of soften the look of that nose bronzer. Let's hit these eyebrows with something. I know they probably have been driving you crazy. My apologies. Hopping into Shiseido's Radiant Synchro Skin Loose Powder. Ever since I pulled this out of my collection, I've just been using it nonstop. It's incredible. Now the other side of our N17 brush is still synthetic, but soft. It doesn't have the same density as the, I will say, cream liquid side, but you technically can use this side with cream and liquid as well. Again, the paddle design makes it quite simple to hit under the eyes. The slight tapered shape fits nicely, although if you would like more precision, you can go in with the N14 because naturally the pointed tip will fit more precisely here right under the eyes, and perhaps you're one to not wear that much powder, that this will be a more appropriate choice for loose powder application or even pressed powder application under the eyes. Benefits goof proof 3.5 ride or die. My apologies if I don't speak a lot as I need to concentrate. All right, one side is done. Ooh, I made that one too thick. What happened here? The N12 is a smudgy, but this will be helpful in correcting my overbrowing. That's a little better. I took that under arch a little too low. It's a little too low. Let's whisk, or rather erase, that application. I added an extra hair here, which did not need to go. All right, not too bad. Brows are on. Off to the races in regards to the cheek products. Now, funny, the N15 I used on my IG reel to apply Danessa's Jubilee. I do think these fibers are softer than the typical BK Beauty ones here. The ones that are multicolored, these feel like similar to the ones that you will find in a Japanese made synthetic brush. And I thought about Wayne's synthetic set, the 25S. 25S, as you can see, far larger, and it has such a low taper. See how it comes to a crazy point? The taper on the Nikki LaRose brush, more moderate. It hits, or rather starts on the center of the brush. 25S, way lower. Because of that, it has a little more movement than the N15. You could just feel like the tip of the brush a lot better because of that longer bristle length through the center of the brush. Now, I also thought about Wayne Goss's 02 from his Anniversary 2 set, the first Japanese brushes I ever purchased, and life was changed. Far different brush head, but you can see similarities in terms of the taper. This is smaller, but this is undyed Psycho Goat. The Wayne brush that reminded me of the N15 is from his artist edit set. Where is it? The 01. Remember this series with the calligraphy inspired brush handle design? This brush reminded me of the N15. A little wider and more domed, undyed Soho goat hair, and because of that, there's a little more fluidity in this brush for me, and one of my most favorites of all time from Wayne. I gotta say, although I don't have his first edit series yet, one of my most favorites has to be this series. Remember with this calligraphy design with the exposed wood? I use this freaking brush so much. It is just the ideal size for everything, even under the eyes. Although you have the second size brush, which is, my goodness, it can't be more ideal for under the eyes. Look at the whip. This brush, however, fantastic for all over the face powdering, ideal for bronzer, contouring, or blush. And then the smaller size, fantastic for more pinpoint work here, as well as some shadow work that's a little more blown out because of the length of the bristle. It's not going to have the same, it's not going to move the shadow in the same way that a shorter length, just smaller brush size head will, like his classic the 03 from his squirrel set. This is a 03 compared to the 16 from the eye set. And this is undyed Psycho goat hair. And then in his new set, the crease brushes are super pointed, and I'm not entirely sure. Let me know down below if you have that set or have those brushes specifically and wash them and what they look like afterwards. I'd much rather have something in this design that has a little more dome to it and not as precise. But if you have deep set eyes, hooded eyes, that design, that point would be significant for you in terms of getting that deep crease blend, because perhaps these are too fluffy, right? And I know in his artist set, he released brushes that were smaller with a more defined point like this, but again, shorter, that you could still get in there. These, however, from the first edit, from the current set, however, I could recognize that shape is a little more precise. With the N15, not too bad with powders, for sure. I think the powder application using my Hourglass palette is pretty good. With this synthetic bristles, I always prefer natural because there's just more of a smoother flow on the skin for me, where I think this perhaps more ideal for cream blush application or even cream bronzer application. I like to pounce because I feel when I sweep, you can't apply as much pressure. You have to be careful because I feel the bristles, they won't move the foundation, but it's not like, this is just, the fluidity is crazy. It's just not the same. And I'm not saying that because, yes, I'm clearly biased when it comes to synthetic versus natural, but from using both. Unless it's the Chikuhodo J series, this new synthetic material, this is soft. This has a different vibe altogether. Now, still quite not the same as like a Chikuhodo Z series gray squirrel brush, for sure, but it's up there now. Like, the bar has been set in terms of how far can we go with synthetic fibers feeling like natural hair ones. Highlighter time. I think either of these will do, either the N14, obviously because of the shape, or even the flat side of the powder side, I should say. That works as well. I think if you're precise with how you pick up your highlighter, you could set it down in a way that won't look too blown out. You could keep it pretty tight here on the cheekbones. I'll go back with my N14 and slap it here on the center for a little shiny bridge. Ooh, that looks pretty. What do we think? I like it so far. Let's take a look at Dragon's Lair first. I have the info here from What's Up Beauty. It says, to descend into the dragon's lair and prepare your eyes for a magical experience of fierce greens and ancient purples which await beneath. Bring out your beast within if you're using sparkly multi-chromes and creamy mattes. Okay, we're looking at 7 blinding multi-chromes and duochromes, each containing different shades of green or shifts to green, using a new formula designed to bring out more chrome sparkle with no fallout during application. Great for your litter in a corner. We got the creamy mattes, and it says here that these are made in Italy. Okay, work of our packaging. A menacing dragon stares back at you from the cover of this palette. It was a little scary, I gotta say. Oh, this is, look at that. That's insane. Stares back at you from the cover of this palette, which is stunning work of art. Deep embossing accent of holographic foil eye and scales giving them dimension, which makes this travel-friendly packaging feel bigger than it is. All right, and made with 30% post-consumer recycled material. Here is Dragon's Eye. Look at the multis and the duos. Let's do, oh, okay. The duos and the multis first. Here's one, shiny, shiny, shiny. I think this is a multi. All right, let me do that again. I didn't pick up enough of Myth. Ooh. And lastly, Monster. Pretty. Let's see if I can do the duochrome. I need to introduce another light source. It's tough to pick up the duochrome, but maybe you can see it there as I move my arm. And now for the mattes, we have Breath, Spikes, Powerful, Breath, Spikes, Powerful. Those look, or actually feel very smooth. Creature and Smoke. Ooh, ooh, oh, wrong finger. There we go. Sorry, Smoke. I didn't mean to dox you like that. Did I? No. I think I did the wrong. Let me see here. No, that was it, I believe. Okay. There we go. Woo, woo, woo. Now we gotta put these shadows on, fam, and see what's up. Using Linda's primer to set up everything, I could quickly go into Industrial 2.0. Industrial 2.0 definitely has more formulas in here. The ones that I think are similar in terms of the finish, this one here, this one here. Let me see. I'm gonna put it between. Very pretty. They all look different in the pan, and they're both made in Italy. Again, what I like about Isamaya's palette is the more translucent shades here that you can layer on top of the multicolor ones. She also has the more powder iridescent shades that are not as shiny as the ones found in Dragon's Eye, but I like the pastel look to them. All right, let's get it on with Linda's End of Time primer till the end. I keep saying something different, my goodness. Using this guy to quickly whip on some primer. Now with Sonia's Crease L, and if I wanted to quickly compare this to Wayne's old 16, Crease L has more of a dome and it's smaller, whereas the 16 brush, the taper starts a little lower, and you see that the taper starts higher in Crease L. I think they're both great, but I think you detect more softness from Crease L because the bristle length is more uniform, where there's more taper here from the 16. Creature, let's start with Creature and see what that does. These mattes are quite soft, and I think because of that will make for smooth blending as well as pretty easy adherence. And that color, one of my favorites, right? The rosy, beigey types of shades here. Other eye, I'll go in with Spikes. Spikes is more of a mauve. You can see the difference in color immediately. Still the same Crease L, and I think pretty consistent in terms of the formula from what I experienced applying that first shade. And now with my worker S, I think the one brush that could resemble Worker S from Wayne's set is, I think it's the E1. I can't recall the number, but it's a fluffier version. I don't think it's as small as this, and it's meant for one and done moments like Worker S and M. But I detected a little more movement from the brush when I saw Wayne's demonstration. Going in, let's see, smoke first on our first eye. And I like to tap on the main smoky shade and then take it through and see how that goes. And I like using Worker for this purpose since it just plops on the shadow. Now, because they're so soft, you definitely get that adherence, but it's not the same as like, because when I applied Natasha's matte from her gold palette during that demo, when I used these brushes for the first time, Sonia's brushes for the first time, those mattes stick. And they're also made in Italy, but we don't know what manufactured in Italy. You know what I'm saying? I was watching Haute La Mode. I know the random channel I came across, but I do like to watch Luke's take on fashion and whatnot. Luke was explaining how, when speaking about Gwyneth Paltrow's dress, that apparently she has now her own clothing line, I guess. All cashmere, he noted, but he also was explaining the fact that now that cashmere is widely available, that doesn't exactly speak to the quality of the cashmere. Like, cashmere is now all over the place. Not all cashmere is created equal. Some are higher grade cashmere, some lower grade. He's not saying that Gwyneth Paltrow was using lower grade cashmere, but you know, other brands or whatnot that claim to use cashmere, it might not be the best quality cashmere. Now with all these shadows being made in Italy, is it the same grade of shadow? Is there like a hierarchy even in Italy when it comes to makeup quality in regards to the quality of the ingredients and whatnot? Not to diss What's Up Beauty. First of all, thank you for the gift. Okay, I just like to discuss these things. I think they're interesting to me anyway, especially when I'm using different palettes, different shadows. That is just a subconscious button I always press because I know people will ask me if it's the same as Natasha Denona. And Natasha Denona for me is the gold standard, one of the gold standards when it comes to Italian made shadow formulas. And this isn't bad. You know, I think it better than a lot of Anastasia shadows because those, although I feel they've improved quite a bit over the years, they don't get as muddy as quickly. There's just a little bit of unevenness there, just a little bit. Going into powerful, but now with my pencil L. Perhaps I need a smaller brush to be more precise with the application. And I think that's a fitting pair to the more violet leaning crease shade we applied. That's what I think is missing from the Nikki set, is that we went from blender brush to smudger to angled. There's not like an in-between brush. This brush, the blender one, specifically the N13, feels pretty nice across the crease, right? It feels pretty soft. I much rather use, however, my Crease L because I feel it makes for a smoother blend. The bristles just move the pigments, I think, in a more even fashion. And the smudger, okay, if I wanted to keep the color tighter, but I like a little bit of haze. So that's why my Builder S is like my go-to for the lower lash line haze, because it's a wider brush but still small and is able to apply the shadow here in a precise fashion but with a little more haze. Now for the lids, yes, I could use this brush. Now for instance, if I wanted to go in with Myth, right, I'll pick it up with the N12, but it's gonna take me forever. Like, it doesn't pick up as far enough pigment for me. So that's why I'm going in with Builder M, right? Builder M is a larger brush and will pick up a lot more, obviously, but I think the bristles are just better designed for these types of formulas. Now you see the sparkle on that. If with the finger, you'll just get more of an opaque serving. But see, this is what we run into. You'll get bigger flakes on the lid, which I don't think ideal. I think this formula shines brighter, or you'll have more dazzle if the flakes don't combine like they do. So just using the builder brush, even though the opaqueness is not as prominent, is a better way to go. And just putting a little more smoke here on the outer corner. Okay. I'll go in with magic with my finger right away. Let's see if that makes a difference. This is a nice formula. This, for some reason, applied in a smoother fashion than MUFE did. Maybe it's because I applied it with the brush first. Let's go in with my Builder M. I think MUFE is a smoother formula, just from playing. Ooh, that's pretty. Look how shiny that is. Wow. Tapping on the deeper violet matte on the outer corner. Okay, just to even things out a little bit. Now I could use N11 for my inner lower lash line. I could use N12 for the inner corner. I much rather use my Builder S, just because I think the shape is like, it just nudges easily right there. And I could bring it in and under my lower lash line here. I applied Fly, which is basically Fire Opal. It has like that teal flip. It's probably tough for you to see. And I'll take Fierce now on this side. This more lime shifting, I guess, duochrome. Not bad. That looks very nice. Now, if I want to get crazy, I could go in with Patina. Patina is just like the diamond overlay shade, where if I wanted more shine but wanted the color to still show through from underneath, that's what you do. Okay. Also, just so that we could, share the love here, I'll go in with this lavender shade because I love the pastels, all right? I know they're not as shiny as what we have even in this palette and what's found in Dragon Eye, just to invite another shadow there. And I'll take this lime one in the same fashion, pull it through the arc of my lid, because why not? And now let's apply this mascara. We gotta do the mascara. Using my Rephr eyelash curler, which has been an immediate fave and still a fave. Thrilled that they reconstructed the entire device, or I should say, whatever the word is. It definitely feels more sturdy, and they released it in 2 different curve measurements, one deeper and the other standard. I gotta wash my eyelash curler. Shame on you. All right, what's up, beauty? Watch me volumizing and lengthening mascara. How to use the hybrid brush. We have the spiky side and the spoolie side, and the actual component is quite heavy. We want to take a closer look at what the brush looks like. This is what we're seeing. And to make sure I am following instructions, begin by applying 1 layer of mascara on your top and bottom lashes with the twisted wire bristles. Immediately switch to the silicone comb and brush through top lashes and help define, curl, and add length. For a more dramatic look, let mascara dry for a couple of minutes and repeat both steps. All right, so spoolie side first. Okay. I like how the spoolie side, oh God, don't stab yourself. Spoolie side feels. Let's go here on the second eye. I like to push against the brush. Now the silicone side, all right. I never liked silicone combs. I feel like, I don't know, it makes it too, oh gosh, got the mascara on my crease. I feel it leads to spider looking lashes, but it's helpful to start with the spoolie side first so it doesn't have the potential of looking as spidery. Does that make any sense? Not bad. I like that a lot. I gotta fix that mascara error I made. I'll just use the spoolie side for my bottom lashes. And if we wanted more drama, they said to wait a few minutes for lashes to dry a little bit. Okay, and then we'll go in again. Let me put wand back in. And a huge shout out to one of our viewers for sending me a Sephora gift. I did not buy anything from the Sephora sale. Not one thing. But they were so nice to send me the Saie Glossybounce in Dip. Oh my god. It is the most perfect everyday shade. You see what I mean? And a Valentino blush in the shade number 8. This is like a peach colored. Let me take out this brush. Ooh, I got no room. Here we go. It's like it has some shimmer to it. I think quite nice. Just more in here. Lower on the cheeks. You see how it has that peachy glow? It's not super shiny, but it's not completely matte either. And one of you had said that the Valentino blushes are extraordinary. I can see why. Let's try this again. Coat number 2. First with the spoolie side, and now with the silicone side, trying to keep it tighter to the root. And how much is this eyeshadow palette? $45. $45 for 12 shades. All right, that's what we're looking at. And here is the final look using Dragon Eye. I know originally I was gonna go into Industrial 2.0, but I thought, why not? Let's take a look at this new eyeshadow palette if you had your eye on, which will be available November 17th. 24 expiration or suggested shelf life. So you got 2 years with this guy. I think it's fine. I think it's lovely. Even though there are multi-chromes and dual-chromes in here, and this is the first impressions, I think you can create pretty daily friendly looks. Funny thing is, because I don't know why this happened, but when I use 2.0, I prefer to apply just all iridescence versus having multi-chromes and dual-chromes with mattes. Kind of like what I thought about Cosmos from ABH. Cosmos from ABH, I didn't quite vibe with it because all those duochromes were so beautiful. I felt they were being held down by the matte, but I understand how people feel more comfortable applying these finishes with mattes. I feel the mattes serve as just precautionary measures in terms of people not feeling completely comfortable, fully committing to the sparkle. But that's what I love. I think if you were to just have all the duochromes and multi-chromes, take out the mattes, and then put in like the translucent shades, maybe different formula, it could get a lot of fun. But this isn't bad. You basically have a look per column. Apply this color all over the lid, use that as an accent shade. These go together, that goes together, that goes together, these two go together. Maybe the lime and the more rosy shade, perhaps a little stark, but you could just hop over to Myth and combine Breath and Myth. Apply Scales all over the lid, and then Fierce on the inner corner for an accent shade, or maybe Scaled on the outer lid, go in with Fire on the center, and then Fierce on the inner corner. So you could have a whole multi-chrome, duochrome moment from Dragon Eye if you wanted, and not include mattes at all. And I think the formula pretty easy to blend. So if you see here, it has really nice movement on the skin, right? That was Scales. Let me see here. I could see if that kind of goes with this center shade, Galvanized, I believe. Galvanized has like a similar feel to it, where you see the duochrome and it has like a more translucent base. These feel similar, and they're both made in Italy, but there's more of a prominent base here in Scales. Let's take a look at Fire, how that blends out. Fire is pretty lovely as well, all over the lid. You will not have a difficult time in just whipping these colors across the lid, and only using the mattes to just feather the edges, to not completely overtake the crease, which is what I did for this demo. But I think it'll be lovely if you solely rely on the duos and the multis as your main stage show-stopping lid color. Maybe just use a little bit of the matte for refining the edges, and then go to town with the other duos and multis for accent moments, inner lower lash line, inner corner, inner arc of the lid. And again, they're pretty smooth on the blend, so I don't think you'll have any trouble just applying these all over. And I can get back to you with that observation, or that hypothesis rather, because I haven't tried it in this demo, but maybe I'll bring this to Maddie's house and my Sonia brushes to see how the worker will blend these textures through the crease. Let me know, fam, if you're thinking about getting Dragon Eye, and thank you to What's Up Beauty for sending this palette, as well as the mascara. Mascara feels pretty nice. Still, my favorite combination is my Kill Lash and my Isam, but I understand since they're trying to create like a clean mascara, it's not going to have the same holding power as the Kill Lash. The Kill Lash kills lashes if you don't have the right remover, okay? So I think because of that, it's going to have far better structure. This feels a little more bendy, a little more gummy, but is probably easier to remove. So that is the exchange. If you want me to hop back into 2.0, I'm more than happy to. And if I receive any updates on Wayne's brush set, I will let you know. And until then, I will see you down in those comments. And that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, eyeshadow palette extravaganza, or another brush video. You'll never know. Take care, and I will see you again soon.